Hey guys, it's Kimberly and I'm back with you for another scary storytelling. Because why not? I'm enjoying these, I hope you're enjoying these, and yeah. So yeah, I'm just gonna get right into this week's video. This week's story, which is titled, I Found a Hidden Door in My Cellar and I Think I've Made a Huge Mistake. My wife and I have lived in our house for around 5 years, and in that time we've probably been down to the cellar a handful of times. Our house is an old Victorian terrace house, and so the cellar is cold and damp. When we first moved in, we kept wine and stuff down there, because my wife liked the idea of telling people we had a wine cellar. But it got annoying going down there every time, so we stopped using it. There's only the two of us living here, so we never really needed it for storage. A few weeks ago, we decided we were going to renovate it, maybe turn it into a mini gym or something. So at the weekend, we went down and began cleaning up. The cellar had a stone floor, but the walls were covered in horrible yellowish floral wallpaper. It looked old as hell, and I assumed it was probably put up decades ago, so we began to strip down the wallpaper. And that's when we found the door. Covered up with wallpaper, the door was set into the wall. It was plain wood, and the door handle had been removed so that it would lie flat. We were pretty stumped at how we didn't notice this before, how it had blended into the wall so well. But at this point, I was pretty excited that we found a secret door, so I largely overlooked its oddness. All of the houses in our street have cellars, so I assumed it must be an old doorway leading through to the next door's cellar. We decided we'd go around to our neighbors tomorrow and tell them about the doorway, and suggesting we brick it up or something. I really didn't feel comfortable about them having this access point to our house. My wife tried to look through the small circle hole in the door where the handle had been removed, but it was pitch black in there. So, because we're nosy, we used the torch on her phone to peek through the hole. My wife looked through first. She suddenly went still. "This doesn't go to the next door's cellar," she said, slowly moving back from the door. I frowned and took her phone, looking for myself. Inside the cellar, there were stone steps leading downward. I couldn't see very far with the light from the phone, so I brought down my big torch and managed to get the door open. We looked down the stairs with the torch. They weren't very long, and at the end of the stairway was another door. This one looked really old, wooden panels kept together with metal columns. It even had one of those metal ring handles. It doesn't make much sense how this could be here. Even though it was going down, the beginning of the stairway would still cut into the next door's cellar. We'd been in his cellar for drinks a few times, which had been done up into a games room with a bar and a pool table, and I had never noticed a big jut of the wall that would cover the stairway, or that it was smaller than our cellar, if there was a whole wall blocking it off. My wife thought we should probably talk with him before going down, and left, but I was too curious about the whole thing, so I took the torch and went down. I tried the handle. It was a bit stiff, but I was completely took by surprise when it opened. I shone the torch inside. It was a concrete room, similar to our cellar but smaller. This was the only entrance or exit that I could see. I waved the torch around and nearly jumped out of my skin. There was a man stood at the back wall facing the wall, his back to me. He was completely still, wearing a black suit and a rimmed hat. The man was so... Okay, so I was just recording the story and my phone just cut out recording out of nowhere. My phone has never done that to me. I've recorded for like hours on end before and it's never cut out on me before. I was only recording for like 5 minutes this time, so I'm really confused and kind of freaked out, but I'm gonna continue reading the story for you guys. Yeah, here we go. The man was so still that I began to think he might be a mannequin, until he slowly lifted one foot. I stood transfixed. My torchlight trained on him. It was just bright enough to illuminate his body, but the rest of his room was in complete darkness. He held his foot still in the air, before slowly moving it a step backwards. His movements were unnatural and jerky, like someone who didn't fully understand how to walk. He stayed like that for a moment, completely still, one foot placed back. Then he lifted his other foot in the same jerky movement. This time when he stepped back, his foot slammed onto the floor. The sound shook me out of my frozen state, and I jumped back. As soon as I moved, it was like I'd triggered something. Then suddenly he moved so quick. He was running backwards towards me, his legs jerking around unnaturally. Writing this down, it sounds kind of funny, but at the time it was utterly terrifying. I've never seen someone move that way before. I indistinctly threw my torch at him. Maybe I thought I could knock him out or something. Honestly, I don't know. And legged it back up the stairs, slamming the door shut behind me and running up the stairs leading out of the cellar, slamming that door shut too. I hesitated by the door, barricading it with my arm, trying to control my breathing and understand what I just witnessed. I heard the sound of the door push open in the cellar, and then what sounded like a huge lump of flesh dragging along the floor. I thought I began to hear what sounded like a low hissing noise, at which point I ran out of the house yelling my wife's name. She was stood on the front side of the neighbors talking to him. I grabbed her and pulled her to the other side of the road, yelling for my neighbor to get away from the house. Without waiting to explain to them what I saw, I grabbed my phone and called the police. We all stood there in the dark, my neighbor in his robe and slippers, looking at the house. After a few moments, I saw the lights that we'd left on flicker through our kitchen window, and then they went completely out. All I remember was holding my wife's hand so tightly, looking up at our dark windows, waiting for the police to arrive. They found no one in the house, but the cellar door was open and so was our back door. They checked our garden, but found no one, and no footprints or signs of someone being there. They brought a team over to check out the hidden room we found. My neighbor claimed no knowledge of the room, and that he too couldn't understand how the stairs and room could possibly exist, could fit between our two cellars. The police couldn't explain it any more than we could. I don't ever want to go back in there, so they showed us photos of the walls inside the room. The concrete was carved with symbols, and they found what looked like centuries-old dried blood. They had the symbols sent to our local university history department, but no one knows what they meant. They sealed off the room, and we've never gone back to the cellar again. I think we made a huge mistake that day in opening that door. In going into that room, I think we set something free that day. Something that someone had locked up for a reason, and I don't think it's good. I'm actually freaking out right now. Oh my god, that was so freaking creepy. That story, I totally agree that it could be something that was locked up there for years. Like, there's no way that, like he said, there was no way that thing was natural, and like, if they didn't know about this room, then it obviously hadn't been open forever. So I believe that it was something unnatural and demonic, and now I feel like they could be murdered. And I'm just very freaked out as well because my phone just cut recording out of nowhere. And oh, I just have chills everywhere. I wish you could see it. Can you see this? Do you see my goosebumps? Oh, freak me. I'm so creeped out right now, guys. I think I'm gonna go have a nice warm hot bath because I need to calm myself down. Yeah, but if you like this video, can't even speak now, I'm so frazzled. If you like this video, please give it a big thumbs up, as well as subscribe to my channel for more videos I post every week, or I attempt to. And I'll see you next time, guys. Bye.